Hello children, welcome back to our English class. In the previous class we had finished the lesson. I hope you all have gone through the lesson and the lesson is clear to you. Please note down all your problems and doubts and we'll clarify it in the class. Okay, so today we were about to do some question answers, long answer type questions. The first question that we would deal with is what preparation did the narrator make for his round the world voyage? Now, in this, you are supposed to write what are the preparations done by him. That is, he built a boat named Wave Walker, and you have to describe the Wave Walker. It was 23 meters long, 30 ton in weight. It had a wooden lower part. Then after this, you have to talk about what all are the precautions taken. That is, he tested it and retested it in roughest weather because he knew he was going to go into the southern Indian Ocean, which is the roughest ocean ever. So he would have a tough time. He even carried spare pumps and hired 2 crewmen. Okay, that is Larry and Herb. Okay, and then he took all these precautions and he had everything that was required to survive any kind of storm or any kind of shipwreck. Okay, so these are the points that you need to write about the preparation. Okay, now the next question that we are going to deal with is how did the narrator cope up with and survive the attack of his enemy, the southern Indian Ocean? So how did the narrator cope up with and survive? So first thing is you will talk about all the precautions taken, like the precautions that we talked about in the first question. That is, he built the Wave Walker, he tested it in the roughest weather, he carried spare pumps, he hired two crewmen. All these points should come in this. Then the next thing is, as soon as he found that the storm was approaching, he dropped the storm jib and all of them, they put on the life jackets. Okay, and then even after badly hurt in the sense, even his daughter had bumped her head and then she had black eye, then he himself had broken ribs, and then his teeth were broken, and there was a lot of blood in his mouth. But in spite of all these problems and disaster, he did not give up. None of them gave up. They fought the bad weather with a lot of courage. They fought not only the bad weather but the gigantic waves too. Okay, even when the gigantic waves hit the ship, they did not give up. Continuously, day in and day out, they toiled. Toiled means they worked hard and they pumped out the entire water that was there. And in spite of pumping it, there was a hole in the ship, a hole developed in the ship, and the water was continuously entering the ship. And all these happened because of the gigantic waves. And so in spite of all these depressions, distress, they knew that nothing can happen but the words of the children. Okay, that we should hope for the best and we should not think about death. And even if death comes, we should be happy to accept it because we all are together. So all these inspired him to keep going. And maybe that is why they could reach the island. And which was the island that they wanted to reach? Isle Amsterdam. Okay. Now the next question is, comment on the title of the adventurous expedition by Gordon Cook and Alan East. What message does it give? Now the title is really deeply moving. Okay, it moves our heart. It really touches our heart. Okay, so the title is one that is deeply moving. Then these words came out from the mouth of a 6-year-old child named Jonathan. Okay, so that is something to be highlighted. A child of 6 years, if he speaks such things, that is, we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. So it shows his maturity and how much he understands the pain and distress and depression of his parents. So that is very important. And then and they all stood together in spite of being in pain and distress. They did not give up. They did not blame each other. Generally, when we are in distress, depression, we start blaming each other, we start irritating each other, but nothing of this sort happened that day. They all stood together, and that is when we stand together, that is when things go on smoothly without even thinking whether a person is working, other person is working or not. You keep doing your work, you keep doing your job. That is more important as far as situations like in the story happens. Okay, where survival is the ultimate goal that we have. So, here, in spite of all the distress, all the pain, they stood together, they fought the situation together. They did not give up. Okay, so this is the thing that the title we feel about the title. Now, about the message. The message is this particular story is a very good, very good example of man's courage and optimism. You see, in this story, this man, that is Gordon Cook, and his crew, along with his family, they show a lot of courage. They show a lot of optimism. If they had not shown the courage, that is, in spite of, they could have given up. That okay, even Gordon Cook, his ribs were broken, his mouth was filled with water and broken teeth. Okay, he could have said, no, now nothing can happen, we'll give up, life is, we are going to die. And the more we think negative, the more negative approaches us. So be optimistic. And these people on board were optimistic. They kept on fighting. We'll sort out. One or the other way would come up. And that optimism added to their life. Okay. And added to their survival. And that's why they were able to reach the island in spite of the strong wind and the huge waves and all the destruction that happened. In spite of all this, only their hope for a better life made them survive. So being optimistic is very important. Depressions, distress, problems, they come and go. Today they are there, tomorrow they might not be there. So you should not take up things that in a negative manner, in a pessimistic manner. Take it in a positive manner, optimistic manner. Think positive, and positive things will happen to you. So here also the same thing. And the courage that they showed. Okay, in spite of being hurt, Gordon Cook did not give up. His wife, she had never steered the ship before, but that day she took up the wheel to help her husband. Even the small kids, you think about them. Jonathan, 6 years. Suzanne, 7 years. Okay, so Jonathan says, don't worry. We are not afraid of dying because we are together. Suzanne says, don't worry, we'll reach the shore. Let's hope for the best. Okay, so everyone on their part, even Larry and Herb, they were working day in and day out without any complaint, because even for them survival was very important. So you can just imagine How much of courage and optimism was shown by them. Now the next message that is passed on to us, that is, united we stand, divided we fall. This lesson is the best example of this particular means the proverb. Okay, this is the best example because all were working together. Gordon Cook, he was the captain of the ship. He kept on working how to escape from this particular storm, how to reach the island. His calculations were done, recalculated the things. He started thinking about the speed. He started calculating the water current. Everything happened with him. His wife, Mary, she did not give up the hope. She stood by her husband in every aspect. Whatever happened on the ship, even steering the ship. She did the work of the helmsman. Who is the helmsman? Yeah, a person who steers the ship is the helmsman. You call, like for aeroplane you have pilot, for taxi you have driver. So here a person who steers the ship is a helmsman. That is the term used. Okay, so here we see that this helmsman, he starts thinking about, she works as a helmsman, but then here actually then the two people, that is Herb and Larry. Okay, Herb and Larry, they also work together. They also think about their not only their but survival. Okay, so they keep on pumping the water even after knowing that chances are very few of survival. They didn't give up whole day in spite of being tired, in spite of being depressed. They kept on working. Small kids, they played their own way, in their own way. They played their role. They were the people who motivated and inspired their parents and Larry and Herb in one way or the other. Even when Suzanne was hurt badly, okay, that is towards the end we see she had to go so many minor operations to get that blood clot in under the skin and skull, in between the skin and the skull. She had to go so many minor operations. In spite of that, she did not give up. She did not give up. Okay, so these are the few things. So even that small kid, that is Jonathan, he also kept on motivating by saying, "We are not afraid to die, Dad. Don't think about us. We all are together. So we will survive. We can move on." So this is how motivation. Okay, so all these things, that is, it's an example of courage and optimism. And then the second message given is, united we stand, divided we fall. So this is the best example. Okay, children, so go through the lesson. With this, we stop today's question answer discussion. Okay, be safe at home. Thank you. Have a great day.